So we all remember the D007, right? Console, handheld console that comes with a bunch of games and stuff, 640 by 480 screen, pretty good quality too. Look, apparently the firmware is updating, but there shouldn't be any firmware on here, so not quite sure why that came up, but we'll ignore that. Also, let's see if I can do something about this glare. There, I think that's better. Yeah, it overall wasn't bad. The interface itself is kind of lacking in terms of features and things like that, and some of the games weren't performing very well. But overall impressed, plastic was good, all of that stuff, the build is pretty good. But I was always wondering if there was a way to get alternate firmware on here, and since this was basically a clone of a Powkiddy handheld and some of the AmberElec stuff, I've been messing around and trying to get them working on here, and well, I never got that far. However, a few months ago, someone started to develop one and port AmberElec to this device, and I'll link that GitHub below. And I messed around with it, and it showed some promise, but there were some issues with it, performance, things like that. Mainly because of the fact that this doesn't use dual SD cards, one for the operating system, one for the games. The operating system is actually stored on eMMC storage that's built in, flash storage, whatever, and all the games are actually stored on the SD card here. So in order to get it to work, you have to run the operating system and the games from one SD card, so there's a little bit of a performance hit there. But there were some optimizations made along the way, and it was getting better and better. And then eventually, the official AmberElec release started to support this device, and I'll link that below too. And I messed around with it the other day, and well, let me show you. So I went ahead and grabbed an SD card that I had on hand that I wasn't using for anything. In this case, a SanDisk Extreme, 32 gig. It's A1, V30, all that fun stuff. It's one of the faster cards that I own, and I do recommend getting the fastest card you can. I'm not exactly sure what speed this reads cards at, but it can't hurt to get the fastest one available so you can give yourself the best chance to have the most performance out of this thing. We'll go ahead and install that card, and we'll boot this up. And as you can see, AmberElec. Recognize this as D007 Plus. I'm not sure if there was another version of it, but it seems to work on here, so I'm not really too concerned. And I've only got a handful of ROMs on here, so not all the systems are available, but it does support everything that Emulation Station supports, so let's go ahead and we'll load up Sonic 2. I don't think I've tried it yet. And I didn't really mess with any of the settings on here. Everything is just stock. And it seems to work fine. No real performance issues or anything like that. Of course, it's hard to play while you're looking at a screen, on a screen, but if we look at the shield, it's not perfect, but it's flickering at least. It's not like solid 1 second and invisible the next, like you do see on some emulators. So, and I'm sure I could fine-tune this further, adjust some of the settings, things like that, but I think just the stock options are good enough. Let's go ahead and quit, and we'll back out. Got one Pocket Color game on there, just a handful of NES ROMs, but we'll go ahead and load up Rockman 3 because it was on this handheld, another one that Mega Man 3, Rockman 3 was having some stuttering issues. In this case, it seems to be fine. It is emulating the glitch that's there, so looks like this thumbstick's got a little bit of drift because it lights up when it's being pressed, so sometimes it gets triggered. I might have to remap those buttons later, but we'll see. and I haven't seen any stuttering at all, so that's pretty darn good. But it's an NES game. It should be easy to emulate, right? Let's go ahead and try. We'll go to Super Nintendo first. I thought I had Donkey Kong Country on here. I guess I don't. But that's fine, because Alien Wars was another game on one of these handhelds that was also kind of acting up, so. Recording stopped for a second, so let's resume it. And I didn't notice any slowdown that time. Of course, again, I'm not doing very well because I'm trying to play through the viewfinder. So, but that seemed to work just fine. So we can go ahead and we'll back out of that, and let's go ahead and we'll check PlayStation out. Let's try Ridge Racer. Although I think this might, no, there is a BIOS in there. I might not have named it correctly. But it should load, as you can see. Yeah, this is R4, so this is a mislabeled image. That's fine. I'll do Grand Prix, and we'll resume once I'm ready to race. Alrighty. I have no idea what songs these are. We'll just pick one. Performance seems to be good. Analog stick does seem to be working with it, so and we'll exit out of here. So that seemed to be working pretty well. Let's see. Do I have anything else on here that might be stressing? I don't think I really have anything on here that's stressful than the PlayStation, and that seemed to play fine. So yeah, I mean, it's AmberElec. If you're familiar with that on any other handheld, it's going to work very similar to here. A handful of games that I tried on here seem to perform really well, but obviously your mileage may vary depending on the speed of your SD card and everything like that. What I'd really like, and I know it's a little risky, but I wish that they had a way to be able to get the image flash onto the internal storage, so you can just run it directly off and get the most performance out of it, and then just leaving the SD card for your ROMs and your games and stuff like that. Now, the original card is a 64 gig card, and it's just about full, and it has all the games on there. If you want to basically do this whole mod and everything, not really a mod, but if you want to replace the operating system and boot off of AmberElec, you're going to need at least a 128 gig card, because you're going to need to have this split between the operating system and the ROMs. And like I said, the original one was 64 gigs. It's full, so there's not enough room on there for the operating system itself. And again, you want to get a fast card. So as far as how to get it on here, it's not really a tutorial video. It's really more just to make you guys aware of it. Basically, you're just going to go to the website, to the GitHub. You're going to download the image. It's a gzip file, so if you're on Windows, you're going to need 7-zip or some other way to extract it. If you're on Mac or Linux, they natively support it. Extract the image, use something like Blend Etcher or something similar to write it to your SD card. And I do recommend zeroing out the SD card, formatting it, removing all the partitions, whatever you want to call it, and just starting from scratch on there. You're going to put the card in, first boot, it's going to reboot a few times, so you want to have at least 50% battery power. You're going to reboot a few times because it's going to initialize all the partitions and everything and set everything up. Once that's done, it's going to boot into AmberElec, power it down, take the card back out, plug it in your computer, copy your ROMs over. There will be 2 partitions. one for the operating system and one for ROMs. There'll be a bunch of folders laid out there. Just go ahead and put your games into the correct folders. The operating system, the emulator, will know exactly what to do with those. If you do plan on playing anything that requires a BIOS, such as PlayStation, Game Boy Advance, Sega CD, a few others, you're going to need to place those ROMs into the BIOS folder, and you're going to want to read the instructions on the GitHub on how to properly name them and everything. I actually saw it said it couldn't find the appropriate BIOS file for the PlayStation. I do have it on there, I just don't have it named right. So hopefully you guys, if you guys have this system, give the AmberElec a try. It should perform a lot better, and it's only going to improve as time goes on. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave some comments down below. Otherwise, thanks all. Catch you later.